Welcome to another episode of the Chrissy Mayer Podcast. Thanks for checking out the Chrissy Mayer Podcasts. We are on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the notification icon. And if you're on iTunes, please go subscribe and leave a sexy or creepy review on there. I will be reading the best or worst reviews every single week, as long as they are 5 stars. And I did just get this review in. Woo, it's 5 stars. This is coming in from Donkey Bite. The review is called Fun and Fearless. If you want milquetoast, unchallenging, comedic, and social views, go elsewhere. Everything from sex workers, cops, political pariahs, and general fringe types. It's not shocking for shocking's sake, but an enjoyment of people and ideas on the outside things. Yes, an enjoyment of people. I love it. Thanks, Donkey Bite. This is so exciting. Without further ado, I am so excited to have this guy on the show today. He is the host of the Slightly Offensive podcast. He's also a reporter and producer for Blaze TV. Elijah Schaffer coming to us from, what is this? Where are you right now? The CHAZ Hotel? What is this?
No, I know that's actually pretty close. No, I'm in Los Angeles right now, taking care of some personal matters, but luckily, we got a phone call
Maybe
going
you
off
should
in
get,
here.
you could get that.
Yeah. No, you know what? I'm just on someone's podcast. Who cares about that, right? No, but I'm here in Los Angeles, which is pretty much a shithole anyway, so it's kind of disgusting.
Yeah, I have been hearing that you are enthusiastically planning to leave.
No, I did leave. So this is the worst part about it, is I left Fort Worth, Texas to get out of Los Angeles because I cannot live here anymore. This is absolutely absurd. And I go, this mandatory face mask laws, all this madness. Then I leave to Texas, immediately have to fly over to the newest country in North America, in Seattle, which is CHAZ.
Get it.
You know what?
Just get it.
Just get it. Just go ahead and get it. I'm sorry.
No, I don't care. This is fine. I like it. It's exciting. It's like no, people think I have expensive sound effects. Like I have a whole soundboard. Yeah.
Shows you how pitiful our life is. No, but then I went ahead and I moved out there, and then I came here the day they gave mandatory face mask laws, and I go, well, thank God I live in Texas where they don't do stupid stuff like that. And then just yesterday, they put mandatory face mask laws in the state off of faulty data too. So
wow.
I feel like it's an American problem now. We all have to deal with this.
It really is. And Texas, I was really excited for Texas, and it was really moving towards the next phase. And I thought, Texas is in this group of states that are cool because they're run by governors who I guess aren't Democratic. And, they were going to be like Arizona, Florida, like they were getting their shit back up together again. And it was really sad. I was just talking to my sister who lives in Vegas the other day, and she's like, yeah, today's the last day any of us can kind of walk around without a mask. Like they're going to be enforcing it, I guess, starting now, which just makes me so sad. And she's talking about how she's a teacher, and when they start back up in September, like really the plan is the kids are only going to be coming in like 1 or 2 days a week, and that they are actually the teachers are going to be taught how to teach better remotely. And I don't know, it's such bullshit how long and how drawn out this is, and how obvious it is just to like fucking, it used to be like kind of I don't know, it was not a political thing, and then it is a political thing, and now I just feel like it's an American issue. It's just pretty scary to see like what's been happening like ever since the coronavirus sort of came out. But I wanted to talk about, how was your time in CHAZ?
Oh yeah, so people that don't know what CHAZ is like like a bit of like Down syndrome version of Chad. So when people say, "Oh, you want to be a Chad?"
Right, yeah,
right?
Chad and then Chop, right?
Yeah, no, but no, people say you want to be a Chad, they're saying, "Oh, you want to be a good-looking, intelligent, this high IQ, sharp person that has a chiseled body." But CHAZ is a land of people who wanted to be great, but unfortunately for them, other than maybe being dropped on their head when they were younger, they probably I don't want to make fun of them. They've probably been some serious childhood trauma.
None of them are going to listen to this podcast.
They've been through some serious childhood trauma, because CHAZ is a land in Seattle that it's kind of like if Woodstock met the Bloods and the Crips, and so like a gang infested music festival with drugs, but also like everyone also has guns and they look like they want to kill you. So it's
Yeah.
not a music festival.
And also like free pudding.
Yeah, free pudding, and also I they gave me a bunch of mushrooms too when I
Psychedelic
walked in.
mushrooms?
A lot. There was a guy handing out bags and bags full of
So
mushrooms.
wait, these people have the balls to ask for like handouts and they want clothes sent to them and they need supplies, yet they're handing out psychedelic mushrooms to people who come through.
Hell yeah. No, they this so look, I just call transgender people T people because we can't everything's, politically incorrect now. We can't call them anything. So I'm just going to call them the T people because they
TPs.
are they're
Mhm.
hung like a T. But there were a lot of transgender people there. And what's really weird too is like, there's like Laverne Cox and some other people out there that really have done I would say even a creepily good job at getting surgery and looking like the opposite gender. But for some reason at these events, the transgenders, the
Are
T
not
people are just they just look weird.
they're not sending their best. The best are not
they're
coming out for CHAZ.
yeah, they have the creepy T people, the ones the Jessica Yanives, the Lana Wachowskis, the ones that you just give them an A for effort, but it's it was a lot of those kind of people, and non-binaries. And I don't care where people put their dick or what they want put inside of them, but I will say this. It's just like when a kid colors outside the lines. It's like you will congratulate your kid for trying, but you're not going to put that in a frame. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
That is, you're
there's a
saying they're
lot of
not fridge worthy. Not
yeah, there's a lot of very odd looking people who clearly had a lot of they were on a very beginning of a very long sexual exploration journey, and I mean very beginning, hyper
yes.
experimentation. Didn't know if they were boys or girls, if they wanted to be thin or fat, long or short hair. There was witches there, and
Oh, witches.
and
Wow. Were they doing any
yeah.
spells or were there any brews brewing or like a stew
Well,
with a bit like any big pots going?
there was a lot of pot. There was a lot of pot, Chrissy. A lot of pot going on there. There's a lot of pot. No, but there was I met a non-binary transgender, which still don't know what that means because to me it's like non-binary is meaning like you're nothing.
You
You're
don't
not
consider
either.
yourself male or female. You
Right,
are
but
something
transgender is like to
you
move
that you've
the
swapped
the
that
spectrum.
you've transitioned. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if you swap from nothing to nothing, it's kind of like my reputation. I have
I
a
guess
non-binary
Elijah,
transgender
you could definitely identify as a pre-op um maybe lesbian transgender woman, right? You're still a dude, but you're
Yeah,
into women. So you're a pre-op uh transgender lesbian. I think you could because you're into women, but
I
you
could be.
haven't
I
had
could be
surgery
anything.
yet. Yeah.
No, I had this stupid joke that really went on for too long, and I think jokes bring on a certain kind of like fineness, like wine does. Where like it's kind of like how wine's disgusting for the first year if you sell it, but then the longer you keep it, it's like the more disgusting and the more fermentation that
What
it
kind of wine
happens, the
are
longer
you
it sits.
drinking? Are you talking about
Well, I
like
mean,
box wine? Are you drinking
well,
just
I'm talking
shitty?
about like yeah, like shitty wine tastes bad if you get new wine, but if you leave it for a long time, even shitty wine can eventually taste
Oh,
good.
yes, it
So
turns.
I had a terrible joke that was like, "Oh, I'm a gay black woman." Like this is like 2015, 2016 humor, right? Like, ah ha
Okay.
ha ha. But it stuck for like 3 years. And unfortunately, people now know my reputation as being a gay black woman. And they don't even know the name of my show or my name. Just go,
Oh my
oh, you're the gay
God.
black woman. And now I'm stuck with this stupid joke. But unfortunately for me, it's like almost become truer over time because what it means to be a color or a sexuality or a gender has become like nothing in a postmodern world. It doesn't mean anything anymore.
Right. In your attempt to be special and make a space for yourself, you've actually taken away meaning. And you've taken away meaning from other transgender people. I just was interviewing Buck Angel, who speaks at schools and like lived through, the AIDS epidemic. He's the famous like the man with a vagina. Um, Like everything about him,
Mangina.
everything about him is a man. It's just that like in 1995 when he went through his transition, like the options for getting a penis was terrible, and he just was like, I'm not going to get a penis, I'm just going to stay with my vagina. But it turns out like he's the most famous man with a vagina because he looks super masculine, and he's actually like, he's pretty amazing. He's not for like giving kids, you know, hormones right away. He's very like pro therapy first, and he feels like his voice is kind of erased by this like new trans mob basically, which is mostly kind of like guys that try to transition to female, and then I guess, I don't know, get sort of stuck somewhere, don't pass,
Somewhere,
whatever.
no,
It's
they do. Did you see that new documentary on Netflix? I think it's called like, oh, what is it called? It's the new transgender one with Laverne and Cox. They have this new like documentary,
oh, I
and
haven't seen it
it's
yet.
about representation, and it's such a weird genre. People always say that I'm anti-transgender, and in fact, actually, there's quite a bit of transgenders people don't know that are fans of my podcast, because I'm not anti-transgender. I'm anti-dress up, and
Hmm.
I'm actually anti-appropriation. I hate it when people try to identify as something to get virtue signaling points,
Right.
and they don't even really try that hard, and they demand respect and acknowledgement. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, let's just admit this: whether you're transgender or not, no one gives a shit about you. Like, but people need to realize, like, you're not that important. Like, who you like to have sex with and what you did with your wiener and everything.
Yeah,
You're just
you're
not
not.
that damn special.
Yeah, you're really like, there's millions of people on this planet, and it's like it's
A
okay
little
to
more,
be
Kobe. A little more. A little
billions.
more than millions.
I would say
Yeah,
even more than
a
that.
few more.
I would say that was my Biden-esque math slip up there.
Yeah,
Hundreds of people on this
there's
planet.
at least
Good
a few
Lord.
hundred people in America. Yeah.
Dozens of
No,
people that live here.
but they're not, and that's what makes me mad about the modern transgender community, is it's gone to like, we want to be accepted, to we want to be extraordinarily exceptional, and it's in that documentary. What made me so upset was that they kept like, they referenced like Jared Leto in the Dallas Buyers Club, and Eddie, whatever his name was, from the Danish Girl, and they go,
Oh, right.
we're,
Hmm.
we're so mad that straight people play transgenders, because even though they do a damn good job and they really do evoke the feminine qualities, and they really do come across like a transgender,
Almost like
in
they're
the
an
end they're just,
actor.
yeah, I go, they're just straight men putting on a dress and a wig and invoking feminine qualities and making people think that that's all transgenders are, and they're not real women. And I go, that is all transgenders are. The only difference is that actor doesn't actually think that he's a woman, and you do, and that's why you get the medical treatment for free, because even the APA admits that
That it
you're
is
not
a form
actually a
of mental
woman.
illness. Yeah.
Yeah, you think you're a woman. We don't, no one, if you're gonna chop off your penis, I think you think you're a woman. You don't just chop your dick off. Like, I like I
Willy-nilly.
believe you. I
Yeah.
believe you. When you say we need trans awareness, believe me, we're very aware of you guys.
You were
Like,
too aware. We are too aware.
yeah, I can see you. But that's what makes me mad about that community, is like, they just demand all this like respect, when you meet real transgenders who are just like people trying to live their life, and people out there,
Yeah.
they're not like that. And the people in Hollywood are so elitist and smug in every genre of life, and they think that they're the most important people. And it's like, dude, you guys are actresses and
Yeah.
actors. Like, literally shut the fuck up. I don't know if I can say it on your
Yeah.
show,
And you
but
haven't been
yeah.
like down with the people in a long time. Like, you've been in an elite bubble for a long time. You do not know what it's like to be a regular person anymore. So stop with the fucking videos. Stop with the montage of the speaking out. Did you hear this happened yesterday? This reporter guy's name is Jack Posobiec. Shit, I can't say his last name.
Posobiec.
Posobiec, and he was
Yeah.
basically he was pushed out of the Emancipation Memorial in Lincoln Park in Washington D.C. He just simply was there, and he was attacked. He had water thrown on him by these Antifa peeps, and it's very scary to me that how to see this kind of get ratcheted up over the weeks. And it almost seems like now, like, there is just no discussion possible. It's almost like the radical left, which has now become the normal left. It's just like we are pushing out any sign of any like, reporter that they recognize, right? Or if they even think that you're, you know there to make them look bad. I'm not sure what they're thinking, but what I'm noticing is it's like we're unable to talk to these people, and they're not even sure what they're fighting for, and we can't know what they're fighting for because they're throwing out these reporters.
Yeah, Jack's a good guy, and I think we can put this into perspective. As I saw a tweet trending showing him wet and going, "Look at him, he was so scared and he was sweating," which is like shows you how why people don't like the media, because he obviously was wet because people threw water on him, and he actually wasn't very scared. If you watch the videos of him getting pushed out, he's pretty
He's
cool
pretty,
guy.
yeah, he's stone faced. He was like, he was not,
Yeah.
he was unfazed. Like I was
Is that
watching going, oh
Polish?
shit.
Posobiec? What is
What?
that? Polish? Is
Un,
that Polish, his last name?
Posobiec. Oh, it might be. It might be Polish.
Because I'm gonna say those people don't mess around. I don't think anyone thinks of Polish people as being like people you can just like push out.
And
Plus, the guy who
yeah,
pushed him out is Jason. The guy who was in the goggles is one of the organizers of DC Antifa. His name's Jason Charter. I've actually had him on my show. You should get him on your show. You should get.
really?
Yeah, I should connect. You should
Okay.
sit down and talk with the organizer, because
With Goggle
he really
Man.
won't go on shows. He really won't go on shows. But I have a weird relationship with Antifa, meaning like they yell at me by name, like when I'm out there, like, "Oh, hey Elijah, like we see you," and so it's like we have a really weird toxic marriage where it's like I want to kill them and then they want to kill me, but like we
But
need each other.
you're so lovable. Like how could anybody look at you, you know?
Well, that's what we're nice. Like, and they'll be like, and then here's the best part. Like, I'm not gonna bring it out because I'm gonna incriminate myself. Is like they were starting to tell me that I'm not really a queer in the community, so I can't speak to their needs. So I legally changed my gender in California for $35, which my wife she's still pissed about, but luckily I'm changing my gender back in about a month to being a man.
You're
But
detransitioning.
I revoked my male identity for $35 to become a non-binary. So I became gender
Wow.
X, yeah, for $35.
For
And when I was at,
$35, you too can be non-binary, everybody.
yeah, and the person I was with, my wife was looking at me now going, she was so mad I did this because I was standing
Oh.
there at the DMV, and I was like, actually, I'm non-binary. I told her I'm not a man anymore. And the woman looks at me and she goes, "You're not a man?" And I said, "No." And that's how weird these things have gotten. I didn't have to provide medical examinations, paperwork, anything
Wow.
to corroborate. I just had to say it and sign legal paperwork, pay the fee, and I was no longer a man in the state of California.
Oh my God. And then
So
that, of
yeah,
course your wife is pissed because then that makes her not straight anymore.
yeah. Well, it doesn't make her anything. It's just
Does she also
you
have
know,
to be non-binary? She's like, I love a non-binary. She could get that bumper sticker. Like I have an honor student. Like I have a non-binary in my life or something.
well, she was pissed, and she's happy to be. In 30 days, she's gonna go back to being straight because she became nothing. She became more like a caretaker, I guess. Like a gender
A
identity caretaker.
handler.
But I was like,
Yeah.
hey, all these people, I would pull my ID out to them and be like, look, I'm not a man, and then they would take me credibly. They'd be like, okay, fine, you think it's a joke? And I'm like, you think it's a joke? And I'd get into verbal arguments in Seattle and Portland,
Wow.
in DC, all over the place. I have just like, and I've taken their shit. I mean, I've gotten multiple concussions from Antifa. I've
Whoa.
I've I've lost thousands of dollars in cameras. I
Whoa.
have lost multiple microphones. Gotten into a lot of scuffles, but I've kept going, and a lot of people back out, and I've continued with them, and they always want to kill everyone else. I think they think I'm cute because a lot of them are gay and transgender, and I don't know. I think I give off cutie boy vibes. That's what I
You're a
think it is. I think they
sweetheart.
like me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not a bear, you're not an otter. You're just sort of like a lovable, bearded, you know what I mean? You're coming at them with a lot of recessive genes. Do you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
they're just, you're non-threatening. You're
But I'm
non-threatening,
6'2". People don't
non-binary.
know this. I'm actually 6'2"
You
and about
hide it very well.
212 pounds.
Oh,
I'm like
wow.
I'm actually a pretty. If you see, like, people always get intimidated in person. They go, "I thought you were a lot smaller." So part of the reason why I think they back down is because really, if I wanted to beat the shit out of one of them, I could probably do it pretty well.
Ooh. Yeah. I mean, maybe I need to look at more body shots of you online. I've just been
Yeah,
looking at videos.
post COVID. Oh gosh, you don't. I don't even want to see my own body.
I'm trying to get it together too. I've really fallen victim to a lot of Instagram marketing, like, ploys. Basically, I bought like an upside down, like I bought this thing that I can go upside down in, basically, and I'm currently right now using it as a footrest for this very podcast. It's called, like, God, and I don't want to seem like I'm fucking sponsored by these people, but you put your head, it looks like a toilet, it looks like a little squatty pot, you put your head in it and you can go upside down, and it's supposed to, like, I don't know, rush the blood to your head, and then
Is this an Instagram thing where you were like had too many glasses of wine and then you on
yes.
an
And
Instagram
I was
feed and
like,
you
you
go,
know what?
oh.
You know what I need to do in this quarantine? I need to be upside down more. And that is going to be a form of working out. And now I use it as a footrest.
Well, do you know even worse though? I could call it the pornantine, because a lot of, apparently, like, porn usage went up, skyrocketed,
Oh,
depression went up.
yes. Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know if the two are related. Apparently, people were masturbating a lot during the quarantine to a lot of porn, because the Pornhub, all these places gave free,
Yep.
like,
OnlyFans
membership.
had free memberships for a minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can we talk about OnlyFans and all
Yes.
these people? Because look, if you take Antifa, if you take transgender, if you take the quarantine, humans love sex, and that's one of my favorite topics because it ties us all together. But can we just talk about this OnlyFans thing? Am I the only one who barely found out about this like 6 months ago, and then now I don't even know?
You might
It's
be.
almost like I don't meet anyone without. No, but if I'm like the only person that every time I meet someone, I'm more shocked they don't have an OnlyFans than I am that they do.
Yeah.
Like, I usually check their link. I would never pay to look at like my friend's boobs or something. It's like, what? like my friend Kaylin. It's so weird. His old friend his old friend wrote, hey, he wrote DM and said, hey, I just started an OnlyFans. I'm trying to move out of my parents' house. You should check it out. How weird has porn culture gone in our
I
country?
respect an OnlyFans more than a GoFundMe. I'll put, you know what I mean? Like, if you want to sell your dick, your like dick and balls, and you know what I mean? Like your tits, like, I respect that more than you just straight up like asking for money. And you know what? You should move out of your parents' house. I only know about OnlyFans because lots of my friends are porn stars, and on my show Wet Spot, I'll have like porn stars on and comedians, and we'll give advice and stuff. So I've known about it like since the very beginning. But what's really changed the game is, like, since the quar, I have a girlfriend who's like wasn't really doing comedy, and like would sometimes do burlesque, and then she like started an OnlyFans, and she's like, I made $2,000 in a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? Like, people are paying their rent off this shit. So I'm like, oh, I gotta do it, but at the same time,
Don't do
you're
it.
not in control of who sees you. You know what I mean? Like,
your naked body's online forever.
it's gonna be all the people you don't want to see you naked are gonna be the first ones in line to sign up. So I'm like, oh, do I put ones up that are just bathing suit shots? But again, to your point, my core body is not
But what if your uncle,
the
like,
best.
this is what I think is weird about the porn culture, is like, we obviously condemn like pedophilia, and we condemn certain sexual deviancies in our culture, right? And we condemn incest for the most part. I mean, I guess that's changing to some people.
Unless you're in the deep
but
state, then you're all about it.
yeah, that's what I mean though. But it's like, you get naked online. This is what's like weird with the making porn normal, is like, you have an OnlyFans account. What if like your uncle subscribes to your OnlyFans account? Like, that's where porn and all this stuff gets really weird, because, and then it's like, what if your kid like looks at, like, do you want your son seeing you give some random guy a blowjob or fingering yourself? Or that's just disgusting. And you know what? You can't prevent that. And I read this thing recently about two actresses in Hollywood who had that problem. I think I don't remember her name, but they have these really graphic sexual scenes that are like actually kind of gross, and like nudity, and like their kids saw the movies, and there was like this awkward relationship between them, because now your kids have seen you do like sexual acts on screen for money. And then I also read a story too of who's the biggest, you said porn stars really well. She's like the biggest one that's retired, like she's not Mila, she's like famous. She's the dark-haired brunette girl. She's always on shows, glasses. She's a meme. She's
Christy
like
Canyon?
immortalized.
No. Shit. She's younger than that.
Yeah,
Not Mila.
I don't remember her name. It starts with an M. But I was reading an op-ed from
Mia.
her recently.
Maybe Mia?
Mia, yeah. I was reading an op-ed thing, and she was talking
Who's
about
that famous porn star, Frank? Mia something? Mia Malkova? He knows
probably.
He knows the
I don't know how to
moms.
pronounce her name, but I know she was like one of the biggest ones. She was millions of followers, and she was talking about how like doing porn has destroyed her personal identity.
Whoa.
She said she got graphic because she says like doing gratuitous sex acts on camera. I've lost all privacy and intimacy like with my husband now because no,
Whoa.
there's nothing sacred. I've jeopardized my sanctity of my life with my children because they can literally that's where I got that phrase from about fingering yourself. She's like they could literally go online and watch me masturbate. Imagine if your kids could go online and find a video of you masturbating. Like that's just like and she went I'm not going to go any
Oof.
deeper. I know this is a pretty unfiltered podcast you said, but it's like I was reading her op-ed, I'm going, "Oh man, like we've normalized porn and then like even this quarantine it's become more popular, but no one's talking about the damage long term that people are like psychologically of their body, their identity, their self-worth, their appreciation
Hmm.
from trading sex acts for quick cash. I'm not against porn. I don't think porn should be illegal, and I don't think you could really even criminalize prostitution or sex work. I don't even get why that's criminalized. I think it should be regulated, but I I know people have their arguments, but I just think no one ever talks about the women, and that's like the transgenders. No one talks about their mental health. Like we all talk about their surgery. What about like how are they doing?
Right.
How do people do? And like no one's talking in this shutdown about people's mental health. And
No.
I'm gonna say this. I was at the mortuary. My mom just died like 2 days ago. That's why I'm
I
in LA.
read. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's a bust. But the director at the mortuary said we were asking him if deaths were up from COVID. He said it's really weird, man, because we actually don't have increased deaths from COVID here in LA at our mortuary. Most mortuaries don't seem to have that actually. We've only had a couple thousand over the last like 4 or 5 months, which is very normal for any
how
disease.
strange. Yeah.
He goes, but we have seen we're all working overload because of the stress and the burden. He goes around Christmas time there's always a lot of death because of the stress of losing
Yep.
just everything. And he goes,
Yep.
we are seeing the longest Christmas season. He said we're still in Christmas season. He said it never stopped. He goes,
Wow.
it's just people are suicide
Yep.
and heart attacks and giving up life. He goes, the stress and the burden of the climate is killing more people at his mortuary than COVID could have ever sought to have killed. And so it's like, that's what I'm saying. No one's talking about the seriousness of what's going on anywhere. It's like people are unhealthy.
Yeah. And actually, well, the more like sort of, I guess you would call them fringy, but I think they reflect the silent majority, the more and more the weeks go by is like a Tommy G or Sam Tripoli's podcast. Like they're talking about, there's this like meme that they were like showing around, like it was an iceberg and the tip of it was like coronavirus, right? And then the big underneath the water part of the iceberg was exactly what you're saying: depression, suicide, you not be able to like provide for your family, you can't get work, you're gonna overdose. It's like everything that is like the side effects of what's going on right now. And it's interesting your point about like now we have this whole generation of like moms in porn, and I know some porn stars that are moms, and like
Moms in porn. I can't
moms in
believe you say it.
porn,
That's like,
and not just milfs.
oh,
I'm talking about real moms. And I was interviewing Brittany Amber.
oh
She's
man.
stunning, and she was telling me in an interview once about like how like her daughter is like school age and she knows all about it, and she seemed like as a mom with a daughter who knows that she does porn, like it seemed like honestly really fine. And I guess the big thing was like, oh, the principal knew, and then the principal called the mom into the principal's office. I'm like, this actually sounds like a porn. But like she, from her point of view, it sounded like everything was kind of under control, and it wasn't a big deal. And like the kids, the kids of the moms that I know that do porn, like the kids know they do porn. And it's just like, but then again, this is one kind of short conversation. There's no way to know how all of this is really
What would you have
affecting
said? I
anybody.
mean, are your parents still alive?
No, my mom actually like just died 2 years ago.
Okay.
um
So
yeah.
so but so this actually can, because then we can hit home on this. I mean, you remembering your mom's legacy, like would you, and I'm not gonna not trampling on her memory or my mom's memory, but I don't want to think of my mom getting dicked down by some stranger on a camera as part of like I'm planning her funeral. I'm glad that's not in her resume. When I'm looking at what she did, it's like she wrote books to help people get through cancer journeys. She was a Christian author and speaker, and she
Wow.
encouraged women to live in a chaste way. And it's like it's nice
Mm.
when I'm looking at my mom's funeral going, you know what, my mom was a very moral woman and she really loved people. She dedicated her whole life to them. And her heart was to see women succeed in a way that was respectful to who God designed them to be. It's not like she was slutting herself out to pay her rent. And I'm not, you just said slut shaming. It's like, oh, shut up, like you can go F yourself, slut shame yourself. Like I get people, I'm not mad that people do what they got to do to get by. And I don't judge people, or I don't think they should be ashamed because
There's
they
also a
choose a
lot of women
lifestyle they
who
should.
love doing it. There's a lot of women in
Well,
porn who just love to fuck on camera. They're not all coming from this like I have to pay rent. They're just like
no,
I
yes,
fucking have
that
a
feels good.
photogenic pussy and I need people to see me, deep
Yeah, but
throat
I'm
this
glad that's
cock.
not my mom. That
Right.
Are you
And
glad?
and
Are you? Tell me in my face. Are you glad that your mom? You just said that there are women out there that want, they want to be seen deep throating cock. Are you glad that you don't have to put your mom with that
it's
phrase?
tricky because like I know that like over the course of my mom's marriage, she never was getting enough affection from my dad. Like they just didn't get each other. They weren't communicating. They weren't like uplifting each other in the way that like in those man-woman ways that like makes for a strong lasting couple, like they were constantly cutting each other down, constantly passive
Oh
aggressive.
man.
They would fight and then disappear for hours. So like I never had an example of like healthy communication and problem solving. Like my dad would yell at my mom. I never once heard my mom say like, yeah, don't talk to me like that. Actually, she never stood up for herself. So like it took me a long time to learn how to do that for myself. And it was like, and because she wasn't really getting enough attention and affection in that way, like she would kind of flirt with like other guys when we'd go on vacation. Like it was funny. Like she would kind of swim. We'd be in Vegas. She would kind of swim over to a 25-year-old cute guy and be like, hi, like never in a, like a gross way. She wouldn't actually like be trying to take anybody home, but like she was someone who needed attention. She just wasn't getting her needs met. And, she'd flirt with like my dad's best friend, she'd flirt with whoever. She's just a flirtatious lady. And that was like one of my favorite things about her. She was like a charming, cute little woman. Like there was a time we were in Vegas over New Year's and she didn't understand the concept of bottle service. Like who would expect her to, right? She was like, 60 something year old lady. And she just went up to someone's table. This is like New Year's Eve. And she was like, ooh, juice. And like just took their mixers off their table. Like they're just these guys, you know what I mean? Like having a New Year's Eve. She takes their cranberry juice off their table, pours it into her cup. She's like, thanks for the juice. Like she just thought it was free juice. And everyone just let her do it because she's like an adorable woman. And that's kind of how she like just lived her life. She would just sort of like gesture and sneak into a pool she wasn't supposed to go into, or like gesture and like, sneak into places and like being
But she was in her
cute.
60s, you said.
In her 60s, but she kind of did this all the time because she just like, I mean, the sad part is, yes, she never got enough attention from my dad. That is 100% observable, right?
Is he
But
still
like,
alive? Is your dad
yeah,
still
he's
alive?
still alive.
Do you ever talk about that, about not giving her enough attention, or do you not?
No, I'm like angry at him for a lot of stuff. Like I really don't like the way that he handled her death. Like I still am angry at him over because he didn't he should have hired like a full-time nurse for her like the last few months because she had brain cancer. Like that's among the shittiest
Oh
ways to
my
die.
gosh, yeah.
And he had something in his head, right? Like he's German immigrant, stubborn, Virgo. I don't know what else to blame it on, but like he had it in his head that he needed to be the one to take care of her like till the end, maybe because he was guilty about how he treated her throughout their whole relationship. I don't know, but that's just speculation. But it was like observable that like he wasn't doing a great job on his own. Like he would be kind of like openly resentful about it. And every time I'd visit, I would see that and I would break my heart. And I'd be like, why don't you just hire a fucking nurse, Dad? He's like, oh, I don't want strangers in the house. Like there was a time I was trying to set up therapy for her and like they called, he picked up her cell phone. He was basically just like, no, we're not interested. And I was like, oh, so close to getting her fucking therapy. So I have like a lot of anger towards him and I can articulate it really well with like you or anybody else. That's because I've been going to therapy for years, but like, am I going to talk about it with him? I just don't see him accepting that reality. You know what I mean? I feel like he would just excuse his way
Sometimes
out
you can't get through to dads.
yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I have a really good father, and he, obviously he's really grieving. Whether it's 2 days or 2 years, I'm sure it
It
doesn't
feels
get
the
easier.
same. Like, yeah.
Right. It's just there's a hole in the family, but I also realize with the dad thing, it's like I think men from that generation in general have a little bit of like, just there's so many disconnects. There's just so many disconnects, and I really do think it's a generational thing for what marriage meant. In that, like,
Yeah.
my parents did have a very good marriage, and that's, I mean, they weren't. It wasn't. I'm not saying your parents didn't. I'm just saying it's a different type of marriage. But I also see like what my parents thought marriage was would be like. That's not how. Like my wife, I literally kidnapped her from Australia. I stuck her in a bag with a kangaroo and pulled her out here. Like, no, I mean, like, I met her online. We, we, we've had like, we're like best friends, right? We're like absolutely best friends. And it's
Oh.
just, life is so much fun together. And it's really great. It's just every moment, like, we don't even fight. Like, it's just like, we
Oh.
jive. We both grew up she grew up in Africa as a missionary kid. And I grew up in a pastor's family, and we just, didn't have a lot growing up, so we don't need a lot, and we just hang out, and that's just what we do. Sometimes I'm a little bit of a bitch to her though, sometimes, because I'm
Only because you're
probably more moody than,
non-binary. I mean, it comes with
yeah, because it's my
territory.
non-binary estrogen shots as I'm transitioning.
Yeah.
No, sometimes just because I think I've been under a lot of stress the last couple of years with just this career, just things I'm trying to learn to to just be better. But that's what I'm saying. Even like just knowing how men are, but then also realizing that generation, like even my grandparents, it's like my grandma was like a severe alcoholic for her entire life, really not a great person. My grandpa was the sweetest man ever. He never divorced her, never would leave her, because he goes, marriage is a commitment for life. And it's like, dude, yeah, I know, but she's like the worst abusive person. Like, she's like not a great individual. And it's like, but
I
marriage
can't
just
even
has a different
picture
definition.
a drunk grandma right now. Like there's no, it's just like,
We talked
like
about porn star
flailing
moms, drunk grandmas.
flailing a cane around, throwing pennies at kids at Halloween. Like I didn't even know grandmas could be alcoholics, but I had the super religious, like my grandma was like super Methodist and like 100 Bibles in the house. And
Oh, my grandma still
yeah.
went to mass every Saturday. Don't worry, she went to mass. Probably drunk, but she was there.
But man, could she sing those hymns? Wow. She really belted
Yeah,
out.
her and the pedophile priest got along so well.
She's like lighting a bowl full of weed off like one of the candles, like, I don't know.
In the back drinking the
Yeah.
communion.
Yeah.
Just sampling it.
This wine sucks. What is this, Merlot?
Oh man. No, I just say, but all that with your dad, I'm glad that I mean, that's a lot of years you got to work with that. You could, but not to bum your
No,
like
it
bumming
is
your
so a
audience out, like,
generational. It is such a generational thing. Like I totally interrupted you as you were making a point and like going to like a nice deep place. I had to throw in a alcoholic grandma joke.
no. I like alcoholic grandmas. I just meant like, you see with the different generations what marriage means. And then
Yes.
like, because I think that's why people aren't getting married today. Oh shoot. Oh yeah, you're East Coast. Nice. I like the White Claw. That's a good
Oh
addition. It's
God. I
really
was
good.
like literally I was trying to turn around so I didn't appear like the most basic of bitches drinking a White Claw, but
No,
talking about my daddy issues,
no, I'm actually really shocked how late I've started drinking during this situation. Like, I figured I would, like, I haven't had a drink today, and I figured like just the way things are going, I should have already had 5. So
Usually
I'm
like
good on you.
as soon as I do a podcast, I'm like, well, it's 5 o'clock. You know what I mean? Like it's, and this is prison rules. It's the choir, baby. And whatever you got to do to get
Yeah.
by.
Hey, alcoholism. I'll just say this: like, the standards for alcoholism have vastly changed in this country. Like, just like sexual deviance has changed. Like, before it was like, oh my gosh, like, she's had sex with 3 guys in her lifetime, she's a whore. And now it's like, oh, you haven't stuck a cucumber up your vagina? Oh, whoa, you're a good
Yeah,
girl.
Elijah,
And then
3
it's like,
girls. That's like what does it get? 3 sex with 3 people. That's like a good weekend. Honestly, that's
that's
not even
a
a
good
holiday
weekend.
weekend.
Exactly.
A
It's going
regular
like
weekend.
Tinder's made it like, oh,
Yeah.
everyone's just doing it. And so the same thing's going with alcohol during the quarantine. Like, it was always like I would be like at a restaurant, someone would be like, oh, dude, you're doing like a double shot, like Moscow Mule, like a double shot. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, that's January of this year. Like, oh,
Like, are
you're
you
going like
okay?
crazy night? Yeah, you're doing a double shot. And now people are just like, dude, just buy the 1.5 liter of vodka. Just get the big one. And then like make sure that we have an Uber ready in case we need to get another one. You go, dude, you were just judging me 5 months ago for drinking 2 shots, and now you want the big bottle.
Yeah, look at who's talking now.
Did everyone's tolerance go up? Is that what happened?
I think so. And it's about goddamn time that we all got to my level. And like these restaurants are doing like adult juice boxes, like drinks to go. like selling them basically in bags with a straw. Like, I love how
Yeah,
that
the
is
straw,
blowing up.
kids cut plastic cups. You can get
Yeah.
margaritas to
Here's a
go. I
fucking
went and
garbage
walked into a
bag
restaurant.
with a straw.
Yeah, I grabbed a beer. Like, I was like, I walked into a restaurant. They just like handed me a beer, and I was just walking down the sidewalk like we were in Mexico or something. And I was like,
Hmm.
I love this. This is so fun.
I would love so much for every town to turn into New Orleans, and we can all just walk around with like 2 foot long like plastic cups, you know.
Trip
But
on Vegas. I know. Why Vegas doesn't need to reopen. We should all just become more like Vegas.
we really should. We really, really should. And I can speak so freely about my family stuff, just like, because I'm not worried about my uncle seeing me naked. I've been thinking about this since you said it, because it's like I'm in that really sweet spot where like my
Yuck.
uncles and my parents are
Uh,
not gonna go maybe actually, if my mom was still alive, she'd be the one to find it, because she's the
that would
one.
be creepy though. That would
She
be
was the
creepy.
one who would be like, go onto my Facebook, and she'd friend all my friends, and she would like get in there and see stuff. My dad like doesn't give a fuck about the internet. Like, my uncle is not trying to, you know what I mean? He lives, upstate. They're not like technologically sound or even curious, so they're not trying to, it's like I've been talking about my podcast for like a year, and they're still be like, oh yeah, I gotta get around to finding it. How do I am ever gonna find it? It's like,
You'll make
dude.
it one day, Chrissy.
Yeah.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
day you'll make it.
And that's fine. It's actually really great to have parents who are not gonna see all your shit and like know all your deepest feelings, because yeah, just not ready
My
to.
parents have no clue. Look, my parents, like, you want to hear the funniest thing? So,
Like, all these
like,
strangers
okay,
know how we really think on the internet,
well,
but
yeah,
our
yeah,
family
they all
members
know
have
how
no fucking clue.
exactly. And what's even weirder is because this industry, there's no making it. Like, someone always says, "How do I know if I'm doing it right?" And I go, if you can pay your bills, then now I just consider that making it. It's like if you can pay your
Yeah.
bills doing what
Yep.
you do, then you've made it. And then you go from there, and anything extra is extra, but you'll always be poorer than somebody and richer than another person.
Exactly.
So, and there's always someone that wants to do what you're doing, and you always want to do what someone else is doing. So I go, so just hold
Porn.
on.
No.
But it's like my
Yeah.
parents, it's like I don't know where I sit on the spectrum, but I feel like God has been so good to me. I look and I started this out. I lived on my friend's couch. I remember when I started this out, I couldn't even afford parking at his apartment complex, and he fed me. And I just said, I'm going to dedicate my whole life to media. I switched out of genetic engineering. I was in grad school,
Wow.
and I just was like, I'm going to jump into this and just make a podcast and a show, and I'm just going to like start out the bat. I'm going to make this happen. Like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to like do. I snuck into the Mar-a-Lago, got arrested by Secret Service, I did like things I shouldn't have done to like get into this industry, and
Ooh, like
and
what?
well, like no deep throating cocks so my uncle can watch me.
Not
And my
yet.
uncle's gay, so he
Mhm.
probably would like it.
Yeah. He'd be
So
like, that's it? That's all you can do, Elijah? Come
yeah,
on.
okay. I'm thinking of his husband. He's like, I'm not gonna describe. I'm not gonna say anything because if he ever watched this. But no, but I was gonna say like people don't know what you have to go through to make it like in this industry, because
No.
like a lot of people have to do a lot of really deviant things, and I refuse to do deviant things. Maybe semi illegal things in terms of just hopping fences and stuff. But I go, but the what you have to work on, and it's so funny because then it's like my dad. I'm like doing a primetime special on Fox News, and my dad's like, "Oh, so this is like working out for you, huh?" And you're like, "No, it has been." And they still tell me like, one day you're gonna make
Oh
it.
my God.
Like
I get that
you
too.
and you go, Dad. I mean, I don't own a Ferrari, and I don't plan on owning
Like,
a
what the
Ferrari.
fuck would you like to see? Do you know what I mean? Like, what? And I always thought about that too. Like, do I have to be on like Leno or Fallon? Or, well, Leno's gone, but it's like, do I have to have a late night spot? Is that it for you? Is it like, I don't know. I still don't know like what
They don't know. They don't know what it is. They don't
it would
even know what you
take.
do. Your parents, no one knows what you do,
No
and to
idea.
them,
And
you're just someone struggling to get by.
yeah,
They
I'm
think you're like
someone.
struggling.
I'm someone who's trying to figure out if I need to post my underwear online. Like, I need to OnlyFans or not. I've had people hit me up to buy socks, underpants, bath water. I'm just like, do I sell
Really?
the things around me? Yes.
I would sell my socks. What would you sell your socks for? Someone would buy your socks. If
Well,
you would, why wouldn't you do that? That's not weird. How
because
much?
they're a pain in the ass to wear every single day. You got to keep track of them. They can't get lost in the laundry. You gotta, and some of these guys, they want sock updates, pictures of the socks. You have to describe what they smell like. I'm not even really a sock person. Like, I really mostly wear tights and dresses and stuff.
Yuck.
So it's a hassle.
Yuck.
But it would take like, I think at this point, like, yeah, like at least $200 because it's like it's a real job. It's a real pain in the ass to be on this sock gig.
I would do sock updates for $200. See, that's where I could deal with people's weird fetishes if it wasn't violating. Like, someone wanted to know how
Right.
my feet smelled and they wanted my socks. I'd sell my socks for $200 and mail them to them and tell them with the description, like they smelled like, I don't know, like maybe like ass or something.
I
You
wore
know?
these to the gym and then to Target, and they had a good life. And now they're
That's
gonna
a
be full
Reebok.
of your cum. Enjoy.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Oh, man, sometimes the circles I work in, this is what's so sad. There's like a lot of people who are very clearly like, oh, I'm liberal or I'm conservative, or then people are like, I'm just fully like a center person on everything. It's like, I have a really hard time describing myself to people, but that's why I don't try. I don't get into that weird, like, I am this and that. It's like, I'm just who I am and just embrace it
Yeah.
or don't. Um, it's, it's so hard for me because I tend to operate a lot in more conservative circles, but then they think I'm like a radical liberal or like I'm not, really a conservative because I'm not really that conservative.
Hmm.
But it's like, but I love conservative people. People hate conservatives. I love conservative people because
They
I
have a
like
good
people that
sense
have
of humor, and
self-control.
they're better
Yeah,
people. They know how to have a good time. They want to
racist
have a good
jokes
time.
still.
They're not so uptight. They're what?
They can make okay, dude, let's talk about this. So there's this kid, okay? There's this kid. His name's Jaden McNeil, and he's a gamer on D Live, and he is a big supporter of this one guy named Nick Fuentes, who's a commentator. He says he's a comedian. He actually is pretty funny, but here's the hard part. He says things that are overtly racist and discriminatory, where everyone, of course, says that he's a complete overt racist and white supremacist. But he says it's parody, so it gets really
Okay.
confusing. I don't ascribe to him. I'm not one of his supporters or anything. I've just, I've researched who this person is. So it gets really confusing. Even Twitter like has wanted to ban him, but they can't because it says on his account parody account, right? As a joke.
Right.
So he has done things that the no things that you shouldn't do in culture, like make Holocaust jokes, those kinds of things,
Some of my
which of
closest
course,
friends do that. Yeah.
yeah, but if you look political, you immediately
Right.
get
Of
called a white
course.
supremacist and Nazi. I don't know the kid's intentions. He's young, he's like 21. I don't. Everyone's a Nazi, so I don't know who really is, right? Well,
Right.
even there's black Nazis, Jewish Nazis. I don't know who's a Nazi. I don't even
Everyone.
know if not like yeah, it's
Yeah.
everyone's walk around in their Third Reich SS costumes secretly, under their jackets.
Oh
But
yeah.
the point being is like people don't like these people. So this guy Jaden tweets out. He's a college student, by the way, at Kansas State University, and he tweets, "Oh, congratulations to George Floyd for your first month sober."
Oh my God, I saw that. That was him.
Yeah,
Me and my
that was
boyfriend were just talking about this today. We were cracking up. Like, that's so funny.
well, Dave Chappelle apparently made a similar joke, and his school's
Mhm.
apologizing. And then the women's basketball team, which is predominantly black, says they're not going to play anymore. So then people are getting more trollish and going, "Oh, great, Jaden McNeil canceled women's basketball. Finally, we did something good for Kansas State." And the school's like apologizing now. Look, I'm not here to sponsor this guy Nick Fuentes. I'm not here to sponsor Jaden McNeil or to endorse anything these guys write. I don't know. People always say, well, how do you know about these people that are far right? I go, dude, I talk to communists and Antifa. I talk to everybody, dude. I'm sorry. I still live in the world where I talk to people who think differently than me and I listen to their ideas. I know it's just a
Wow.
crazy thing to like actually contemplate
So retro.
how people think, even if you disagree with them fundamentally on certain things. You go, oh, okay, that's an
Wow.
interesting perspective. But it's what's really the craziest part about this is that he made this joke about George Floyd. I wrote that it was tasteless just because I know that with his position at school, you have to know. If you're a comedian, you can get away with stuff. If you're a student and you know how college campuses are, expect this, right? This is like, expect this. You're gonna get this backlash. You invited this on. I can't, from what I do in my contracts, I can't promote it or not. But I will say this. People threatened to kill this kid over this joke. Okay,
Wow.
like to murder him and his family, and
Wow.
it's open, and the university is aware of it. And what did the university do? Did they condemn the murder threats? Did they condemn the even football players on the team? Did they suspend them for claiming they were going to attack him? No, they condemned his tweet. So we've
Jesus.
become in a culture where some kid, just because he's been labeled a white supremacist, with people not even knowing what he said or what he's done, he just has this he's a gamer, but he's like he's a
He's a
Nazi, makes
kid.
a joke. Yeah, he's 20 years old. He makes a joke, and now it's become more socially correct to wish murder on somebody
Wow.
than it is to make a joke. I'll just keep calling it a tasteless joke for PR purposes, to make a tasteless joke. And you thought it was funny, but I go, this is getting in a mad effing world where like you can't make jokes
It's
anymore.
giving it
And
way
then
too
someone
much
comes,
power. Yeah, you can't make jokes
they
anymore.
go, isn't the joke inappropriate? And this is where I want to give credence to people. I go, look, yes, but humor can be inappropriate. Like,
Yeah, that's what
what do you
humor
like?
fucking is. The people
Yeah,
who
yeah, it's
are
like,
against
what?
jokes, like if you're against like that guy's tweet and you want to show him, guess what? You have a shitty sense of humor. You would have maybe no sense of humor. You know what I mean? Like these people that are like trying to cancel comedians, it's like you're also not the same people who go to comedy shows, who, you know, who actually follow comedians. You're not like supporting anybody who's funny. You're a fucking wet blanket and you're trying to put your shit on everybody else.
Yeah,
Like,
go back to overpaying for your OnlyFans accounts. That's what you tell
yeah,
those people.
go back to
Those are the people that
Karening
buy
or
OnlyFans.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are the people masturbating to their nieces, and then they're complaining that
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God. That's really funny. Yeah, I just worried too that like everything's just gone too far. I'm really worried that like the fucking radical left, now the regular left is just trying to like erase history, push down all the statues. It's like they're already slowly but surely taking away our rights. It's like we have to wear the masks. And every time I see like a black mask, like a black face mask, I think this is like Sharia law-esque. Like, do you feel like that shit is slowly creeping upon us? You know, is that me being too conspiracy theory oriented? Or is it like, I feel like now it's just America versus this something else. Like Trump calls it the invisible enemy. It's like, I just feel like there's like an attack on our culture because it's like, right, we're taking away our history, we're pushing over the statues, we're editing textbooks now, we have no sports, you know, the sports are a lot of them are not coming back. And now it's like we're canceling comics, we're canceling this kid for this one joke. There's like no culture, right? So it's like we don't have history, no sports, no culture. It's like there's a force that's trying to just destroy all things American.
and identity. The face
Yeah.
masks to me, what's so weird is like I'm looking at people outside my hotel room walk, like a family outside walking together. It's like, you fucking morons, take off your family
They're
walking
fucking
outside.
morons. You look retarded. You look so fucking dumb. You're outside.
Yeah, it's like, what do you do? We were at dinner last night at Yard House, and there's people wearing masks at their table with like their
What are
family.
you
You're going,
doing? Yeah.
dude, just like I have just been telling people, I go, look, I am not an idiot. What's so funny is people don't realize that I have an extensive background in science and in virology and stuff, and that is my background. I'm not an idiot.
You
I'm
could
not
have
just
you
a
could have been
crazy
working for Bill
right-winger.
Gates at this point. You could have been making phase 2 of Corona right now.
But that's what I'm hearing is a lot of people tell me, oh, I know what to do in this corona, I mean, all this stuff. I know what's going on. You go, but do you? I mean, you work at Walgreens. God bless your soul. I don't care. But it's like, dude, you really don't even know what a virus is. So you're telling me how the virus spreads and how face masks prevent it. But could you even tell me the two basic components of a virus? That's not even a hard question. Like, what are the two most basic components of a virus?
Wait, don't tell me. Spit and coughs.
No, like proteins and nucleic acids. That's all I was gonna
Okay.
say. But
All
that's
right.
probably a
I was
little bit.
close.
Yeah, yeah. But I'd say like, you know, then I go, do you know viruses aren't even alive? Do you know they're not living organisms? They're just a pod that can self-replicate. They have no
Ooh.
life in them, and they're not alive. They're not living beings, not like bacteria, and they're so small that the way that you actually there's a lot of good viruses out there. Why do we even have them? They're called bacteriophages, and they actually are used for modern medicine actually to destroy bacteria, and we use them. And it's like people don't even know anything about a virus, and then they don't realize that, like, you know, getting the flu shot makes you more susceptible to upper respiratory infection,
Mm-hmm.
and then wearing a mask can actually weaken your lung capacity, and it can actually create carbon dioxide poisoning,
Because you're
cause headaches,
just
stress
breathing your
issues.
own
It can
shit.
actually
Shortness of
lower your
breath.
lifespan. It's just like people are so bullshit that it's at the point where I don't need to explain myself anymore. I don't even need to like try to prove myself. I'm just gonna just keep speaking the truth, and when I'm wrong or I get something, you know, off, I'll just adjust my worldview. But it's like the experts are not even there's no experts anymore. It's your expert and my expert, but there's sanctioned experts. out there. But it's like, wait, I have 500 doctors who are agreeing with me. It's like, but no, those aren't the ones that we put on TV. So you're
Wow.
all wrong.
You have
And
to
you
listen
go,
to Fauci when fucking at the beginning of all this, he was anti-mask.
I would get his OnlyFans.
Oh, God. FauciFucks.com. I don't know. Only Fauci. Just be him with different masks, like a mask over his dick, you know, like.
I did that once already.
Really?
I did. And it looks a little like George of the Jungle.
Ooh, Tarzan.
That would be my OnlyFans. That would be it. It would be masks. It would be I would strip down as low to a mask over. That's it. I would just wear a mask.
Yeah, you could just like a new website like Mask for Mask, which is really like a gay identification term. Like if a masculine gay guy wants a masculine partner.
Yeah, but do you know who Chad Prather is? Do you know the comedian Chad Prather?
No.
Prather is, you know this? He's really funny, and he said, he's like, it just blesses my soul going to bed tonight realizing that there's two dumb fucks that are so radically indoctrinated out there that they're actually still probably having sex with their masks on.
Oh yeah.
You know, like there's somebody out there having sex with a mask
There
on.
are articles like they're on a fucking, you know, all the garbage sites like BuzzFeed and Refinery 29. Like they're saying like why you have to have sex with a mask on. And it's like, what are you doing? You know, it's like you're just making people scared and it's wrong.
It's like, it's a condom for your face.
It's a condom for your face. And it's like, guess what? You've been around this person for months. Why do you need to suddenly start wearing a mask?
You apparently don't realize our culture.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to get your take on is, so you're familiar with like the civil war in Libya with like how we like sort of went in there to take down Gaddafi. Like we were told, right, that he was slaughtering his own people. And what actually was going on is that Gaddafi wanted the gold standard. I guess he was against the new world order. He wanted to move away from the banks. What I wonder is like, did we sort of basically, or the powers that be, like create an Antifa in Libya the way that there's sort of an Antifa being created and funded in this country right now?
That's a good question. You know what? I think that a lot of times we intentionally arm bad people. And that is for reasons that I don't think any of us could fully know. And I noticed that because if we really were doing a good job, the Middle East and North Africa wouldn't look like it looks today. So when you're talking about like Yemen and Iraq, I mean, even Iran, how we're trying to destabilize Iran, and Saudi Arabia. I mean, look at Saudi Arabia. What a god awful kingdom. I mean, just really, really terrible. The way that people are treated, the way the money is. I mean, talk about class warfare and wage gap. You have the royal family and then everybody else, right? So
Yeah.
those guys live big, like really big. You know, the way that what they buy and just you see them out there and in their yachts, and you go,
Like they have a
to
pool.
like, yeah, no, but you look at Libya and you go, what were we even doing there? And I
Right.
think
How is it our business? Yeah.
right, no, it's not. And this idea of forced regime changes, a lot of people are waking up realizing that Obama, George Bush, Bill Clinton, and the previous George Bush are not much different than each other. It's like really they're all just the same president with a little bit right of center or left of center views that are kind of look to be taking commands at the helm of some other power and not doing things in the interest of the American people. And you see that with the constituency now. Like our governors, our people, they don't listen to us. They don't listen to what we want. They don't ask us. And a good example of this is Providence, Rhode Island. It's called, Rhode Island, Providence of Plantations. That's the name of the state. And people always say, who didn't know this? And I go, well, people probably who didn't go to a good school. Because in my 8th grade, we actually had to remember all the states. But that being said, people don't even know that it's called that. And then the governor goes, I'm changing the name from Providence, Rhode Island of Plantations, whatever, just to Rhode Island. And everyone goes, woohoo, we're ending racism. It's so good. We're like, America is progress. And this is a perfect case of how idiotic the American voter can be, because just 2 years ago, they held a Democratic vote. It was in the election in 2018 to whether to change the name from with the word plantation to dropping it and just calling it Rhode Island. 78% of the state voted against changing the name. So then 2 years later, the governor goes, well, we're going to change the name. And everyone goes, yeah. Not everyone in there, but everyone in the country goes, amen, she's so good. Look at that really righteous governor. And you go, hold up, slow down here. You're telling me that the state took a vote on something, unanimously people voted one way, whether the rest of the states think that that's shitty or not, that's their state. And the governor went and overrode the people of the state, and then everyone else is cheering her on, saying she's justified. You're not justified ever, even if it's for good intentions, to override the vote of the people. That's how
Right.
states even form. That's how we got new states. People were like, we got to move around, and this state's like this, and I got to move. And I go, Rhode Island outlawed slavery before the United States even became a country. They were the first colony to outlaw slavery. They were not a racist. They tried to outlaw it 100 years before it became permanently outlawed, but King George
Wow.
wouldn't let them. So it's like, you're talking about, I think it was like 1753 was when they officially were able to, I believe, put a task force and stop slavery. It's like, that's not a racist colony or a racist state. That state never practiced legal slavery. So stop pretending like they're like, need some recovery project to get out of this racist history. They don't have
Wow.
a racist history. Right? I mean, that's British. The colony is British history, not American history. That's
Right.
British history. So when you look at people today, like that's what the whole Libya thing and the regime change. It's like, yeah, the government's changing. We're getting democracy, and it's like, wait a second. There are people who live in that country who
Right.
they don't.
What about
We
what
don't
they
get to
wanted?
decide.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't get to decide to just knock down some guy that we think is a dictator. We can't just change Providence, Rhode Island of Plantation's name. Like, what happened to actual democracy and a republic and voting and having, like, it's just become a massive, like, our country is now reflecting what we've been doing overseas for the last 2 decades. Is
Wow.
just saying, fuck you
Meddling.
guys
Yeah.
all. We are just going to do whatever the hell we want. And then even if it creates chaos. And you go, well, how are they getting away with this COVID shit and the way that things are so crazy here right now, and it's destroying our country. Like, damn, we haven't cared about destroying countries for over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
eventually, when you don't respect other people, you stop respecting yourself too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point. It's like, and it's so icky, like the way it was sort of like put out there to the American people, like, oh, these Libyans, like they're poor and stupid and they don't know how to have a country. Like, we need to go in there and do it for them.
Yeah, no one knows how to do a country except for us.
Yeah.
And that's why I really do sympathize with the far left in that, is that, like, there is this thing that Americans believe that allows us to be taken advantage of by our government, because we go, well, we know how to do life the best, which I think we're pretty damn close to trying to do it the best, because there's no good way to do a country, really. I believe in free markets and freedom of speech and these things. I think they're great, but it's like, my point is the government realize that in other places they can completely disrespect the will of the people. Why could you not wage the same war in your homeland?
Yeah. They have too
And
much
so it's
power.
like, right, they have too much power, and we've given them too much trust to go, well, the government just knows what they're doing. And they just
Based
don't.
on what? Yeah.
Yeah, what track record in the last 25 years do we see our government knowing what they're doing? Never. So, like, it's like, well, now during COVID, they know what they're doing.
Ugh,
No, you're going to look back in 10 years and
no.
be like, hey, fuck you guys for ruining our entire country, for destroying lives and businesses. And it's like, I'm way past pissed at this point. I'm way past upset. It's like, and now you see why people, like, after a while, like, why are they throwing rocks at our tanks in Iraq? Because they're just like, get out. Because we need to, like,
Yeah.
we need to collapse. Just get the hell out of here. Seriously.
Yeah. Mind your own fucking business. I don't know. Work on yourself first. It's like the Jordan Peterson, idea of make your own bed first before you criticize somebody else. Like, we need to make our
Yeah.
own bed. This country has an unmade bed for a minute.
But that's what they're doing. So that's what I'm saying is like, yeah, I don't know for sure why they removed Gaddafi, but we know that it wasn't for what they said it was, because look
Right.
at the country now. It's just a terrorist haven. And I don't even know if it's a terrorist haven, because for all I know, the US and also our enemies are just fueling proxy wars with each other. That's what's happened in Syria. It's like, I don't even know who's evil. Like, I talked to a friend from
Mm,
Syria when the war broke out. He was so scared because he goes, dude, like, Bashar al-Assad, he's a bad guy. He is a bad guy. And if you talk shit on the government, you could disappear. He
wow.
goes, but you don't understand. He's fighting a lot of really bad people from taking power too. So that's why sometimes those laws of criticism and the dictators are there, is because he's told me, he goes, he's forcibly holding power because the people that want to take it from him are so damn evil. And we saw them rise up. He goes, they're so evil that any criticism is thought of as mutiny, and he has to just forcibly keep it keep it at bay. And it's like, and then you see they're like, oh, well, if we remove Bashar al-Assad, Syria will be liberated. It's like, now we have the biggest humanitarian crisis of the century because we liberated Syria. And then it makes you wonder, well, that was like, then they start forcing 1 million immigrants into Norway and Sweden who don't even look at the culture. For thousands of years, they've been a monoculture, they've been a homogenous place. And then you increase the population by 10% of people who don't want to adopt the culture. You go, this is an attack on Western civilization.
Culture,
on their culture. And everyone goes, oh, well, it's, it's white people need to let other races in. I go,
it's not about that.
I go, dude, there's less people that live in Sweden than live in Los Angeles. They don't give them any demands.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I mean, you see all this shit, like, in the moment, it all sounds good to people who don't think. And unfortunately, the government realizes people don't think. And everyone that does think gets called a conspiracy theorist.
Exactly. And gets fucking shadow banned and blocked and demonetized.
But we're history 10 years from now. Because everyone goes, looking back at it, we realize all those people were fucking right.
Mm-hmm.
And and it's like, yes. Yes, thank you very much. And then it's too late. And then we're on the next thing,
Yeah. So what do we do? What can we do? It's
just keep waking people up, and you just keep waking people up, and you buy guns. I mean,
yeah, that's sure. Like the fucking anti-gun thing certainly didn't hold any water now. It's like that went out the window. Woo! Like almost right away. People are like, no, we're cool with guns now. Like no one's saying a peep about that. But I've also heard whisperings that like once school is back in session, like the deep state is going to make, massive school shootings happen again just to fucking create more chaos. And I was like, wow.
They want to distance us. It's, you look at the Vegas shooting and how the girlfriend or the wife, she was an FBI informant, and you go, and they never have a motive for the Vegas shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And you go, oh, this is so creepy. Then it just shuts up. I mean, it's like,
yep.
I mean, what we just had, it's like, has anyone heard about Tara Reid recently and the sexual assault allegations from Biden? And then it's like, but here's what it is. It's like, so we have Corona, everyone's going to die. And then Corona suddenly isn't affecting anyone. And then we have race riots.
Yep.
And then Trump starts his rallies again. So then now coronavirus is dangerous. And then now there's a spike, and everyone needs to freak out because there's a spike because of Trump rallies and Republican states reopening. When it's like, huh? Wait, we just had what? You just said, and there's no signs that the protests spread the virus.
Yep.
But then now going and buying a beer at 11 p.m. is spreading the virus? What? And you go, you guys are all, and then Dr. Fauci goes, well, everyone's so bad here because they're not listening to science. You go, dude, no, we just don't believe you guys anymore.
Right, you fucked us around too much.
We hate you guys, actually. We literally hate you. And unfortunately, if you like, me, and I'm not advocating this, I'm not advocating for you to do this either, but there's a lot of people who want to fucking kill you guys. And like, you have to realize that there's a good portion of this country that wants you guys dead.
Because you have ruined their livelihoods and their lives.
Right. And it's not the first time that people have killed their government. So like, just remember that there are more guns in this country than there are people. And
really?
Yes, there's millions more guns in this country than there are individuals that live here, including illegals. So, and they're disproportionately owned by people with a certain political ideology, which is very anti-government. So, you don't want to mess with them. You just don't want to screw with these people. And when that's what I'm saying, is that the powder keg, you can only push people so far. And I always have to make so many disclaimers, just because obviously what I do, I never condone violence, but I can tell you there are people who do, and I can tell you that these people are this close to blowing people's heads off. I'm not joking. I mean, these people have lost their businesses from 30 to 40 years. Bars, I'm looking at the bars that are going out of business in Fort Worth right now. People that had 85 employees in January went down to 20 before this first lockdown, and the second one is shutting down for good. And you're going, how sad is that? You have 85 employees of nice business, beautiful, a staple in downtown Fort Worth, closing down for forever, just because you can buy alcohol at Yard House at 2 a.m. because you also bought mozzarella sticks, but because you bought 3 drinks at this other place, now you can't. And it's just like, it's they tell you, oh, you can play tennis, but you can't play on a play set. You can, here's what sanctioned activities are. You can run outside, but you can't go to a gym.
You can have
Then
a
you get
protest, but you can't have a barbecue.
yeah, yeah, exactly. My mom's funeral, we're being so low key about it because she was a prolific person, and we're just advertising it as a meeting. Not even, we can't even, we're in gatherings. We're setting everything's private DMs.
Wow.
We can't put anything on public posts. So we don't get raided by the police. And it's absolutely atrocious that I have to go behind the government's back to have a proper funeral for my mom. Like fuck you guys. Like literally,
Yeah.
that's when, not me, but that's when people will get to the point where they'll want to kill people,
It's getting
is because
personal
they'll
for
go,
everybody.
yeah, it gets personal. Exactly. When your son commits suicide or you get a divorce and then you lose your business and everything and you realize that it wasn't necessary,
Necessary at all. Yeah.
you get desperate.
Yeah. I think Elijah, just in case, you should make and bring a few Black Lives Matter signs to your mom's funeral.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I was gonna list the death certificate as police brutality, and maybe we can invite as many people as we wanted, and we should call it a protest, right? That's what I just said. We
You
should just call it
should.
a protest against sin and death.
A protest in the honor of your mom. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a protest, and we'll all just scream Black Lives Matter at one point during that.
Yeah. Oh my
It's sad
God.
though. I mean, really. I mean,
It's
we're
really
laughing at
sad.
it,
I'm
but
really sorry.
it's sadistic, and I cannot tell you how many actual people you talk to and their heads are this close to exploding, and the government should be scared because, it's one thing for Obama administration, the IRS, to mess with certain groups and withhold their tax withholding, their exempt status, and meddle and have lawsuits. It's one thing for them to run guns down to Mexico, which are involved in a lot of the mass shootings in the Fast and Furious scandal with Eric Holder. Those things happen. Then they blame Trump for Russia, and then Ukraine, and then it's China, and then it's just nothing turns up. And you push people and you demonize them and call them criminals and say that if you vote this way, you're a racist and a xenophobe, and they're just like people who love family and want to work. And then you go to their businesses and shut down their businesses and shut down your kids' schools and remove their social life. And I mean, you are getting to the point where somebody might kill you. And I don't think people are taking that serious enough that what they've done to this country is more deadly than the virus. Or, and this is what I'm really thinking, there are people out there who do know that this is more dangerous and this was intentional.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I really feel like they're just trying to unravel like everything that makes this country great and everything that we've all like worked so hard for and everything like our troops have died for and like generations of work. And yeah, it's really sad. Of course they know. They must know that I think this is the intended result. Like what, I think they're just so out of touch with the people. They just don't care. They don't care about the people. It's like there's this like higher power, I think, that's trying to like fuck us all over.
Yeah, that's all my thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do yet, but I think if we just keep exposing and waking people up, that's what I was going to say is I just want to be a piece to wake people up and to tell them the truth and to bring them into the real thinking. And I think it's kind of frustrating that people categorize me as being like hyper partisan political. Cause I go, you know what? I really am not somebody wrote a hit piece recently on me and said, oh,
really?
Trump supporting Trump activist Republican right-wing person. I go, okay, first of all, I don't even advocate for Republicans or the right wing. Like, what are you, activist? I'm not even an activist for Trump. What? I voted for Trump, but it's like, in fact, I hate a lot of the Republicans. And my show is not even, it's like, I talk about politics as much as any celebrity talks about politics. Not that I'm a celebrity, but any celebrity or somebody in the light would talk about politics. It's like, I talk more about culture and life and just
what
what's
people are
going on.
thinking.
And what people are thinking and what people are doing on behind the scenes. And yeah, of course, everything inherently is political. And it's not some partisan show. I don't, yap about the Democrats and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. Like, that's not what I do. It's like, I just look at the bullshit and go, what is going on here? I go, in fact, it's more closer to like a sadistic dark comedy than it is really to anything political. Like, it's not even funny. It's like a C minus, at least if I'm lucky on a good day, C minus humor. But it's like, the world is funny in itself. Like, I don't need to carry the jokes. The joke is what we're looking at.
You're just making
And
observations and pointing out what's happening, and yet they want to brand you with all of what they think are the worst terms. They want, call you a Republican, call you a Trump activist. They're just going to label you, right? Nazi, white supremacist, because you're not going along with the norm. So you get these names stamped on you to discredit you.
yeah, but that's what I don't get. I'm just calling out bullshit. Like, actually, a lot of people who watch my show are all varieties of political affiliations, and I find that a lot of the people who watch my show are not, or listen to podcasts, are not even. They're not even political. They're
Right.
just they just think it's also weird too that their kids learning about anal sex at 4, and they think it's weird that their junior hires learning about things that blood play that they never heard about. They didn't even know themselves,
Jesus. Seriously?
and
You
like
really know people? Like, I've heard about this, but do you actually know people whose kids are learning this?
yeah, and that's why I pick up
Jesus.
stuff. I had a pastor contact me the other day at the mega church talking about how the Department of Public Health said they're going to be sending spies in plainclothes people to check for violations every week, and that they're going to shut the church down if they have any violations, which are spies. And the California government's trying to send spies into churches. People call me with grievances because they know that I'll talk about it, and they
Wow.
call me with what's really going on, and I think that's why it's sick to call it a partisan conversation, because it's like, you could believe in more social welfare or less, but don't do anything to my kids' private parts. Like, I might care for the homeless or not care about the homeless, but I
Right.
sure as heck think we all care about our kids and them
Yeah.
growing up to be sexually whole and healthy, and having their good identity and things, and that matters to us. And we all want good marriages, and we want happy families. Like, everyone wants to live happily ever after, and wants to own some sort of property, and then have just a good life, make money. And it's like, these are human issues, and people are just fucking with those
Jerk
things. And
off
it's
into a sock that they bought from a guy who does a podcast. That's what we all want, Elijah.
my uncle. I know he's like, where do I get one? No, I just meant, like, it's like, so that's what makes me sad, that these things have become partisan, because I've never looked at what I do to be partisan work, or what you do. And comedy's become partisan too, where, like, even Joe Rogan, they go, he's a right-wing dog whistle. You go,
Ugh. No,
Joe Rogan was about
he's
to
just
vote
a
for Bernie
dude.
Sanders.
Yeah.
Dude who, like,
Yes.
takes DMT on camera.
Have you ever tried
Like,
DMT? No, I was doing
DMT
my
is
I
one
was
of the
doing
ones
my
I never
Joe
did.
Rogan
Oh,
impression.
have you done DMT?
No. I thought it was like a bug spray. I thought it was like what's it called? A insecticide at first. I don't
Let me
know.
write this real
I've
fast.
done so few drugs.
It is 10 a.m. there. This is for the funeral. This is for the funeral. Um, name and address is there. All right, great. I just was saying, we're not even putting the name of the venue, because on the invite, because I don't want the spies to come in. But no, I never did DMT. I've done a lot of drugs when I was younger, but I don't do drugs anymore, because I'm whole now, and I have my identity's found. I don't need to use drugs. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not shaming anyone who does, but I got tempted to use those mushrooms. So I really did. I told my wife, I was like, "You're gonna be so proud of me. I didn't take any of the magic mushrooms," because
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy magic mushrooms, but when someone hands them to you and you're in a
Oh,
crazy
right.
hippie place, it's like, look, even if you never did mushrooms or drugs before, that might be your first time.
When in CHAZ, you just gotta.
When Chaz dazzle out, and I was looking at them, but instead I crushed them and sprinkled them in a pond, which I called Chaz Beach. It was like a
Oh
moldy
yeah, I saw
pond,
that. I saw your
and
postcard.
I sprinkled them in the water. It's just I don't know, sort of like a tribute, to just the
Yeah,
lost dreams and trips of the people there.
that's nice.
I got to take
Elijah.
off in a second though, because
Yes, I was just
I
about to
messed
wrap
up on
up.
timing.
Yeah, this was so great, Elijah. Please follow Elijah at Elijah Schaffer, ELIGAHSCHAFFER, and for his slightly offensive podcast show, and that handle on Twitter is slightly offense, SLIGHTLYOFFENS. Anything else that I'm missing?
No, yeah, just go to YouTube. If anyone even, I always say this on my show. This is not disrespect to you, but I go, if anyone actually made it this far in the podcast, you actually like her show. It's like,
If you've made it
you
this far,
actually like the show.
congratulations. You get a nude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you get one of her first OnlyFans accounts, and I'll send you a free sock. Uh,
Ooh.
yeah, I'll send you a free sock. Do whatever you want with it. Feel free. But yeah, just check it out on YouTube, and go to Slightly Offensive, type it in, and it's not even that offensive, but you'll enjoy it.
Slightly. Yeah.
Hmm.
Thank you so much, Elijah.
Of course, Chris. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye.